And welcome to Education, Leadership, and Beyond, Surviving and Thriving. My name is Andrew Murata, host of the show. It is show number 77, and happy to be back on air here at the Port Jervis Library and on your computer or phone, live on Facebook. We're also live on Voice Ed Radio Canada, and we are on our way to getting the show on Disrupt Ed TV. So if they are broadcasting this one, we are excited about that relationship as well. Again, my name is Andrew Murata, excited to be back on. We do have a couple public service announcements before we get to our guest today. She's live in studio here at the library, Taylor Hartey. Taylor is a science teacher in Port Jervis and doing her administrative internship. So she's dipping her toe into the water of leadership, and she's got a lot of great things going on in her life. So we decided to squeeze her in all the busy things she has going on. So we're going to be meeting Taylor in a moment. I do want to give a shout out to our school district. Again, that's Port Jervis, New York. Our good friend Jared Kamar is the principal at HBE Elementary in Cutterbackville, and they are doing something to get a grant through ShopRite. And you can vote on our school website. Just go right to Port Jervis Schools, Google that, and it pops right up on the website. And just put your vote down for HBE. They can win a great grant that's going to provide some outdoor equipment for our kids. And Mr. Kamar asked us to do that for him here on Education, Leadership, and Beyond. So we are doing that to try to get our school that grant. Again, go to the Port Jervis website and pull up that link and just hit vote for HBE, and it'll bring you right to it. All right. The second thing, if you're enjoying the show, if you're liking it, give us a positive review on iTunes. Those help. If you like my book, here it is behind us, The Principle, Surviving and Thriving. A review on Amazon also goes a long way. So that would be great. If you are watching the show live, leave a question or comment for myself or our guest today, Taylor Hartey, and we'd like to interact with you during the show. We have several viewers right here now to start. And if you are watching live, put that question on there or comment for Taylor or myself, and I'd like to get that on the show. All right, so let's get started. The name of the show is Just Getting Started. And as I mentioned, Taylor is doing her administrative internship. So with a new school administrator, I have a brand new AP at our school now. And again, Taylor is our intern. What are some things that I can help her with? What are some advice that I could leave her with? What would be the 3 top things that I would tell Taylor to focus on, right? Because there's so many things that she's doing now, learning. And just in one day, there's so many things that happen. Taylor's been calling parents. Taylor's been doing a lot of things in her internship. And if I could just give her the top 3 bits of advice, and I floated them around and I changed some in and out, and I have a lot of these in my book that I was happy to share out. But the first one is, it's all about the relationships. It's all about developing those relationships with the kids and with the adults that you work with. You're going to add programs, you're going to add technology, you're going to get new things, but it's all about your people. And that's got to be your focus. It's not programs, it's the people. Work on those relationships, do the things that grow and tighten that relationship, and develop trust with them. When you say you're going to do something, you have to do it. You have to acknowledge your people. You have to celebrate your people. You have to support your people. So it's all about your people. That's number 1. And in line with that, number 2 is, it's the little things that matter, right? I tell a story in the book I wrote, The Principle, Surviving and Thriving. Our former superintendent, John Exanthus, who is now the superintendent at Valley Central School District in Montgomery, New York. The little things. John Exanthus knew that I was doing the marathon on a certain Sunday with my dad, and a quick call Monday morning. As soon as he got into the office, he called 6:30, 6:40 in the morning, and he left me a message. Andrew, I know you did the marathon yesterday with your dad. Just was calling to see how everything went, and I know that was big for you, so I wanted to get the the information from you, right? Check in with me. Well, little did he know that my dad had passed away after that marathon, after his 4th marathon with us. If you haven't watched it, go to YouTube, Joe Murata Marathon. Great tribute video there from about my dad and our story. But the little thing, so I come back a week later after my dad had passed away. There's 46 messages on my phone. And who's the first one from? John Exanthus, where I heard that message and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I said, here's the superintendent of the school district. But that little phone call, going that little above and beyond, a little bit extra, that he cared to ask about how the marathon went with my dad. Because number one, he took the time to ask about that. And number two, he took the time to call and check in with me. So I'll never forget that. So Taylor's sitting to my left here. It's the little things that matter. So take care of those little things, and it makes the big things easy. The last advice I would give her, change takes time. Taylor was a Division I soccer player in college at University of Rhode Island. We're going to talk about that. Taylor's done some cool things. She's building a team here. She's our head soccer coach, and change takes time. JV. It's okay. You're part of, you and Beam there got the dynamic duo. It's the little things, right? And she's saying it's JV. But wherever Taylor lands as an administrator, she's going to have some ideas of things she wants to do. She's going to try to make some change with some things. And I've learned over time, I've been at 14 years at Port Jervis, things take time. You might be ready to do something, but are all your people ready? Are they on board? Have you explained it? Have you given them some time to let it settle of what you're trying to do and why? The power of why is so important. So you put all those things in there to try to implement change. Just put it in your pocket. It takes time. So if you are a newer administrator, we met our friends from Beekman Town a few weeks ago here on the show. Things take time. So be ready for that. You're not coming in and just painting a wall and something's going to be different. Okay? It takes time to make those. So number one, it's all about relationships. Number two, it's really the little things that matter. And number three, things take time. That's my advice for Taylor. If you are watching and you're a new administrator, those are some tips that I would say for you. So that being said, let's bring Taylor in. I'm going to scoot over, and here she comes. Taylor, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're on. Is this your first podcast? Have you ever done a podcast before?
Never did a podcast, no.
Okay. Well, you're live. Don't worry. You can't screw anything up. You're only live on this. Yeah. So this is Taylor Hartey. Taylor is a science teacher. She is our soccer coach. She played Division I soccer at the University of Rhode Island. And she is an enthusiastic leader who is jumping in. So I'm excited to have you on the show, Taylor.
Thank you.
Excited
to be here.
Why your administration certificate? Why are you stepping into the field of administration?
Well, to be honest, I didn't know I wanted to do that. It's sort of how I came about being a teacher. So when I first went to college, I didn't know I wanted to be a teacher. And I kind of say that teaching found me. What
was your major? What'd you major?
Well, I started in marine biology because I was always interested in, jumping in the ocean and going scuba diving. And then I kind of wanted to get into marine archaeology. So I switched to anthropology. So I didn't really have that mindset of teaching. That wasn't something when I was growing up. I always wanted to be a teacher. So after college, I went and I worked on a tall ship, which if you don't know what tall ships are, they kind of look like big pirate ships. So it was around the time of Pirates of the Caribbean. So that was like everybody's mindset was like, oh, you're a pirate. So
teach like a pirate to a new level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I went to Maryland on the Chesapeake Bay, and I worked on a tall ship, and it was they call it the school ship of the Chesapeake. So what we did is we'd have kids come on the boat in the morning and the afternoon as like a field trip type of thing. And then in the summertime we did, they had a really good gifted and talented program in Maryland where they'd have the kids come on the boat. 9 kids had to fill out all this paperwork. They had to sign up and do essays. And so we picked 9 kids, and then they'd come on the boat and they'd stay on the boat for a week. So we were in charge of those children and keeping them alive and teaching them things. So I did that the first year as just a deckhand educator where, I really immersed myself in education and I taught myself how to teach the kids. So that was my first step of becoming an educator.
And this is like summer after freshman year, or you were a little more into college?
No, I had graduated college.
Oh, okay.
So this was after college.
Okay.
I think it was 2005, if I remember correctly. But so I did that, and then they asked me to come back as the education director. So that's what I did, and I really liked it. I kind of moved away from some of the sailing aspects, which a lot of people do in that field. And so I kind of got into more of the education part of it. And, the president of the company was like, you're really good at this. You should really think about this. And I was like, oh, maybe I will think about that. So I kind of got into that. And, but I still had my anthropology degree. So I went and I did archaeology for a little bit. But in between, during the winter time, I'd come to Port Jervis and I'd substitute teach. So I've had some of the kids that are now in high school or have even graduated.
Mm-hmm.
I had them when they were in elementary school and, learning myself how to become a better educator just by getting thrown into being a substitute. But, I'd come home with all these stories, like this happened and this happened. And my parents were kind of like, why don't you think about being a teacher? You seem like you really enjoy it. And, so I started kind of getting the wheels turning. And so that's kind of how I became an educator, kind of found me. That's what I like to say. So now going into administration, at first I didn't think I really wanted to be an administrator. So it wasn't really on my, my path, I guess you could say, because I really like being a teacher. But part of the reason I like being a teacher is that you get to impact so many kids' lives. But as I started to, kind of delve into the administrative, theme, I guess you could say, I found that, you can almost have more of an impact on a lot more kids' lives if you do it the right way, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you never see principals out of their office. Mm-hmm. Not this principal, but
we're on the move. That's right.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's the way you kind of take the job, I guess. So now it's kind of getting my wheels turning more and more that you can really have more of an impact. And, it's a hard decision for me because I do like being in the classroom. And today it was the end of the school day and it felt like it flew by. I didn't even feel like I did a job today, kind of. I mean, I don't want to say it like that, but so if you love what you're doing, it kind of, you don't really realize that you're doing the job, I guess. And it's not always like that. There's hard days, but for the most part, I have really good days. And so I don't know. I'm kind of going through that process right now. Do I want to do that? Do I want to do this? So I'm in the beginning stages of the internship. So, but I really like what I'm doing so far in my internship and getting to see all the aspects of how schools are run and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I'm a hands talker. So.
And that's good. We're Italian here on the show. What is something that you've seen? What is something that you've learned and said, I never realized that? What is something that you've seen?
Well, definitely communication is a huge part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not always what you say, it's how you say it.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I didn't realize that before, but I'm definitely seeing more of, that as a bigger picture and trying to make everybody feel like they're important and wanting to get their opinion on things. I think that's a really important thing. And, something Todd Whitaker says is, you find your good teachers and you kind of take things from them. And this is something that I always remember. And when I was little, I did ballet. Like I did everything when I was little. My parents threw me into everything. I did, ballet, piano, all the sports. But so my ballet teacher would say, steal the energy from the person next to you. So I would like literally like suck the air and be like, I'm stealing the energy from them.
She likes to laugh. I don't know if you've noticed that here on the show yet.
So I would steal the energy from people. So, if somebody does something good, you want to, see what they're doing and kind of take that and do what they're doing. Like Casey Stankunis was my mentor teacher, and her teaching methods are a lot like what my teaching methods are like. We like to have fun in the classroom and try to bring the lessons to life. And we actually do a science camp together in the summertime at Brandywine. And I try not to do the same lesson twice. I try to, if it's notes one day, I try to do something a little more energetic the next day, or, writing on tables with chalk markers the next day, or, doing speed dating things the next day with different topics. So, and a lot of what I do is what she does in the classroom, or we've kind of like fed off each other, or I stole from her because she's like, oh, this is a really cool thing. And so we'll kind of go back and forth. So it almost is like a perfect marriage that our classrooms are connected. So
sharing.
Yeah.
Taylor, you mentioned communication. What is something else that you, in your internship, that you've learned or that you saw that has been surprising to you?
Just that your time management skills are really important. So you're always busy. I mean, you're in the class, you're in jumping around the classrooms, or you're in the office because there's a discipline problem. But then you also have to share your time to other people. So, your time management skills are really important. And even if you feel like you get a second, I always feel like you should be doing something, like you, and I do security, I do arts classes. So I'm always trying to I don't like sitting still, and I almost feel like I'm doing something wrong when I'm sitting still. So that's something, as a principal or administrator, you're always kind of on the move, or I think you should be, but you're always busy kind of. So that's what I've been seeing so far.
Yeah, lots to do. And Taylor squeezed this in. She got called back to school for a duty tonight. So as soon as she leaves the podcast here, she'll be back to it.
Yep.
Taylor, you mentioned you had a lot of life experience, and your parents exposed you to a lot of different things. What are some skills that you feel that you possess that will benefit you if and when you do become an administrator?
Well, I'm definitely a hard worker. I mean, like I said, I don't really like to sit still very often. I try to immerse myself in everything. I try to talk to everyone. So that's been something that I've been trying to do in my internship. I try to talk to everybody and kind of get their perspective. So, I went to our union rep and I talked to him. I talked to Lynette and Ray in the athletic department and try to get their aspect of it. I talked to Don Priest to get in to see him. I haven't gone and see him.
Director of Buildings and Grounds.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get all the aspects of the school because, I think it's important as an administrator that, you obviously are in control of everything. So I want to know what everybody's, concerns are, what their day-to-day schedule is like. My advisor at school said, when he was a principal, he used to stay after with the janitors and, ride around on the Zamboni thing to see what they do every day. And, just what takes the most time in class is when they clean things, the art room and the science rooms take the most time. So, I want to immerse myself in all aspects of what goes on in the school and, how to make it better or improve on things and what's important and maybe what's not as important, what's important to people, talk to the teachers. So I don't know, that's my so far project, I guess.
And Taylor, you mentioned about the teaching and what you're doing in the classroom, and Taylor's an excellent teacher. Do you see yourself 2 years, 3 years, or is this something maybe down the road you'll want to do? Do you see yourself going for an opportunity as soon as you get your certification?
I'm not really sure, to be honest. I think, I want to go through the internship and complete that. But if something came up, I couldn't say that I wouldn't want to do it because I'd never say never, I guess.
Never say never, never say always.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't have a definite answer for that, but it's something that I would definitely think about, and I'd like to finish the internship and get that completed. But so I don't know. We'll see, I guess.
And it's a two-way street. You want to find a place that you feel that you can grow and make an impact, and they want to have it's got to be a good fit, not just for them but also for you. Mm-hmm. So we'll see if and when that opportunity comes. But I hope you don't go anywhere anytime soon. As I mentioned, Taylor played Division I soccer at the University of Rhode Island. Taylor, what do you think that experience did for you as a leader? Playing in an elite level soccer, she doesn't make a big deal out of it, but that's a big deal, right? Playing at that level. What does that bring to the table for you?
Well, like I said, I hard work. Definitely. I would go from high school practice to club practice, and I'd be at practice pretty much all night, and then I'd have to come home, do my homework. So that was something, you have to work hard. But also it's kind of dealing with people that are going to tell you can't do something, So that was something that hit home for me, that there's going to be times in life where people tell you, no, you can't do that. And, that's up to you. That's your decision if you want to do something or not. That's your decision to, decide, can I do it or can't I do it? And it's really up to you to say, no, I'm going to do it. It's not up to somebody else to say, oh, well, you're not good enough. You can't do that. And I'm like, well, yeah, who cares what you say, So you kind of have to have some perseverance. And, as me as a coach, I don't like telling kids that they can't. And I don't like cutting kids. And in all my years of coaching, I can't say that I've cut a kid, because I feel that, and that's not everybody's methodology, but if I'm going to coach somebody, especially at this level, where we are and what we're doing, I feel like I can improve that kid. And if I can't, then what am I doing as a coach, So I don't know, that's my methodology. I know not everybody feels that way, but I don't like to say no to people, and I don't like to say you can't do something, because that's really up to that person. It's not up to you to be saying that you can't do it. So
okay. Very fair. Yeah. I mean, and you do have to learn to say no in the job, but you also don't want to squash people's dreams and hopes and creativity, right? There was a big thing about an administration, just say yes, right? Stop saying no to people, just say yes. So maybe you're on to something. Taylor, you mentioned communication, you mentioned time management. What do you feel are, some of the skills, soft skills, hard skills? What do you think are some of the most important skills of a school administrator?
Well, like I said, I think communication is important. Also being a good listener and trying to listen to everybody. Even if, you can't make everyone's changes, you can make them feel like they're important and what they're saying matters. So that's maybe number one. And that's something that my professor always says. He says, you treat the person first. So they come in and you're like, they might not be on, or something might have gone off, but so you talk to them and say, what can I do for you? What's going on? Is it something, what's up with you? So, and that was something that, is a really important thing, I think. And number two, I would say, is knowing your stuff. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get to know everything as much as I can anyway. Like a sponge, trying to take it all in.
She takes great notes. She's got her notes here. I mean, she takes amazing notes. I love your pictures, and she got
I'm a doodler.
6 pages here of information here. It's tremendous. I love it. She writes. I like that.
And being a motivator, I think, is important. So, you're somebody that people want to come to and talk to, and you want to inspire other people to want to do your vision, I guess, if it's an important vision, and you have to motivate the people to see what you're seeing and why it's important, and to go above and beyond. So
do extra. We like that. Taylor, what if the person doesn't want to be motivated? What if you're a new administrator and you see some areas of improvement in that classroom, and that person's more like, hey, leave me alone. I'm not feeling what you're telling me.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a lot like when you're coaching. I try not to tell a kid right off the bat something negative, So I'll go and they call it making a positivity sandwich. So you give us a positive, and it's not something that you just make up because you're trying to say, oh, that's nice colors together. You don't want to.
Thanks, Taylor. Good for my self-esteem.
Not that you're saying something that's phony, but you want to really come up with a positive and give them something that they're doing good, and then maybe give a little critique and say, well, I think we could really do this better. But then you kind of end off with another positive. So, but I really like this than what you're doing in this classroom, So, and it's all, like I said before, it's all in the way you kind of talk to people, I think. And I've never had a situation. I mean, I've I'm not saying I'm the most experienced person ever, but I've been running a soccer camp for, I think it's been 10 years now. I think next year might be 11. I've been doing science camps for a couple years. I've worked on a boat. I've worked in other schools, and I've never had a problem with a parent that I mean, I don't want to knock on wood, I guess, but I've never had a problem that I couldn't fix just by talking. And, and I think something that I was worried about when I was thinking about being an administrator, maybe some people might have that doubts about me because I'm not this mean person, and I think that's kind of a preconception, maybe, that some people feel that you have to be like dropping the hammer all the time and being really mean. But I've always found that the way I talk to people, I've never had a problem where I had to be that, ogre of a person and scare people into something. So if I had a problem, I would just talk to them about it, and it's usually end up working out fine. So, and I don't want to say it's never going to happen, but so I don't know. I just think you make a positive sandwich. You try to talk to people on different types of levels, and maybe the way I talk to you might not be the same way I talk to other people, but that's how you build relationships and learn how to talk to them. And, especially when you're dealing with people's children, that's, and like I said, I've had
first tip in the book.
Yeah.
Treat every kid as if they're your kid. Yeah.
And I've had problems at camp where this kid wasn't getting along with this kid, but we've talked it out, and, we've made solutions. We've kept those kids away from each other in certain situations. So, I mean, if there's had been a problem, we've always dealt with it. And I've never had somebody, really, I don't know, I don't want to say, a bad word, but they've never come to me and yelled at me and said that I didn't do something that I shouldn't have done or in the wrong way. So I think you can really mostly talk it out for the most part. So
good. This is Taylor Hartey. She's doing her administrative internship, and she is a science teacher with us. If you are watching live, or if you're watching it on replay or record later, leave us a question or comment, and Taylor and I will certainly try to do it live here on the show and or get back to you. So
my mom's watching.
Your mom's watching. Hey, Mom. Taylor, you mentioned about, again, talking and being authentic. I gave 3 points of advice there. What was your take on those things? And is there one that, you might have moved around a little bit? What was your feelings on the opening concept of that advice?
I think what you said is sort of what I kind of elaborated on. Maybe not, I haven't really talked about things that take time, but I think that would come with my being in that position. And, and if you have a major idea that you're trying to get across, that would take time. And but I think it comes back to everything else, like I was talking about, relationships and those little things, and making people feel like they matter, and listening to everybody, and trying to get around to everyone, and that's a hard thing to do. If you have so many things going on, it can get lost in the shuffle, kind of. So, and I last week I talked to Kathy Lean in guidance, and I was asking her questions about, this kid has emotional problems, and this kid, and where do they go, and what do they do? And she was like, I think this is great. You're asking all these questions. Not everybody knows that this is what we do. She's like, they think we sit in the glass house or something like that. So, and which hurt her feelings that people thought that, but not everybody would know that, So, just getting around and talking to people, and it's stuff that I've been learning about what other people do in the school. So.
There's a lot of moving parts, and if you can get an understanding, that's great. Yeah, good for you.
Thank you.
Our friend Dr. Bell from Delaware Valley is watching, giving you a shout out. We had a chance to meet with him on some of the great things they're doing over there. Taylor, again, if you're watching the show, they might get an aspect of this, but you have a wonderful sense of humor. You like to laugh. You're celebrating life. Do you think that can help you as an administrator?
Definitely. I think as a teacher, it helps me first. There are kids that go through terrible things in life, and I'm not saying every part of my life has been perfect, but I had really good parents, and my dad is a doctor in Matamoros. He's a chiropractor, and
Another commercial. A lot of name dropping on the show here. I got camp. I got this. My father. I got this. Go ahead. What's the name of the chiropractic business?
Hartey Chiropractic, of course. Come on.
My back.
No, but he's a doctor in Matamoros, and if you went to him, you wouldn't typically think about him as a doctor. I don't think. Most people go in there and he starts talking to you like he's one of your friends, and if you want to know all the scientific terms and you want to know this and that and every little bone, like he'll list it off for you because he could do that, but he doesn't make you feel that you're less than or talking down to you because he's the doctor. He's talking to like you're a human being. And that's something that my classroom, like I was saying, some kids have gone through terrible things, but I would hope feel safe in my classroom. And I can't get rid of some kids. They come into my room and they have them for a year, and then the next year they're coming back and bringing me presents and stuff. And you build those relationships, and and like I said, I'm not saying I had a perfect life. I'm not saying I had a terrible life, but it's your perspective on life that you put out there. So I think if I was a principal that didn't have a good outlook, or I'm not going to say happy all the time, but if I wasn't laughing and happy, then most people probably wouldn't want to come see me. And, there's probably people you can think about that are not the happiest people. Like, do you really want to be around those people? You want to be around people that are happy and, make you feel good, or yeah. I think you should want to be around those people. And if you don't, you might want to take a look on what's going on inside of you. But, so I don't know. I smile at everybody, even if I'm in the grocery store. I'm smiling at people. I see kids in the grocery store that used to be my students, and we still talk. So, I mean, it's not just a relationship because they're my students, or, I want them to get a passing grade, but I want them to have that experience, and I want to be able to talk to them and build those relationships, and not just the hour I see them every day. So.
Sure. Well, like you said about sucking the energy, right? Well, you do give off that positive energy. And I know sometimes in our long faculty meetings, I can tell a corny joke, and I know I'm going to get that laugh. And yes, your mom is saying that you had a perfect life.
Zip it, Mom.
But you mentioned about your dad and the way he talks to people. Malcolm Gladwell writes in his book, Blink, about the relationships with people, that they did a study about why some doctors get sued and why other doctors don't. Mm-hmm. And it's all about that relationship. If people love their doctor and they made an error, they're less likely to get sued if they don't talk down to the people, if they listen and they develop that relationship. So that's a great point about your dad and what you do at the school. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Taylor, what do you think might be a challenge for you? We talked about some of the things that you're good at and your skills. Is there some people are afraid of public speaking, your writing skills? Where is an area that you think like, I really got to work at this before I become a principal or assistant principal?
That's a tough one. I don't know. I mean, I think maybe just the experience part, I'm building that now. Mm-hmm. So that's something that you're always learning. I mean, I like I said before, I'm a sponge, so I try to absorb everything. I'm always, trying to learn at everything I do. Even if I go somewhere new, I'm trying to learn about what happened here, so I think it's really about you and how you handle things. So I guess now it would be about me and how I handle things. But I would try to absorb as much as I can in that time that I'm supposed to be learning. And then as you go on, like you said before, not always perfect. You need to know how to apologize sometimes if you do make a mistake, I think everybody has to learn that. But so you learn as you go, I guess. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned about the life experiences you've had, the places you've traveled. You have done a lot. And in those scenarios, you know what it's like when that kid is tired the next day after a soccer match, or a kid that has been all over the place all summer and did a bunch of stuff versus the kid who's been home all summer and can't wait to get back to school. Mm-hmm. But kudos again to your folks and for you having those life experiences, because you have an understanding of how to talk to people,
Mhm.
you know, and you bring that positive energy. So, all right, Taylor, I know you got to get back to work. So we're going to get to rapid fire. These are quick answers. So let's get to it. Last book you read?
Well, I'm reading a book right now about administrative internship.
Look at that. All right.
Before that was probably
standards-based administrative internship. That makes me want to dive in. It's just the title catches me.
You should. This is a good book for you.
Is it good? Put it back up here. Let's see. I'm teasing here. Go ahead. So you're reading
this
that
is
now.
For my school professor.
One quick takeaway from that book.
Dr. Sinisi. It's really just how your internship should be going, and you know, things that you should be experiencing. And I haven't read the whole thing yet, but it's just, you know, how to get more out of your internship, kind of a thing.
Should be doing a podcast on your internship.
Exactly.
Last movie you saw?
I actually just watched Will You Be My Neighbor? I think it's called, that Mr. Rogers.
It's out.
It was on Netflix.
Oh, on Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah, you can watch anything. You can find it.
We did a show on that.
Yeah. It was interesting.
Favorite place to travel?
Anywhere, honestly. I mean, I like to go and just learn about things. I don't know. I don't know if I have a favorite place, but I'd like to go anywhere and travel. I haven't, the last couple of years I haven't gone over the summer because I got a house. So so I'll have to get back on the traveling.
Favorite place to play against when you were traveling with Rhode Island? Where did you like to go? People like to go to you there in Newport, Kingston, Rhode Island.
I don't know. I think just probably staying home was, because my parents would come to Newport too, and when we had home games, so that was good because I got to go to Newport and hang out because our campus wasn't on Newport.
Get a nice meal.
Yeah, exactly. Red Parrot.
Get the spots. Best thing about being a science teacher?
Just my experience with the kids, getting to, you know, if I can spark something in a kid that makes them think that science is fun, and get to see that or watch them figure things out, and just have the relationships with the kids.
The biggest challenge you have being a teacher?
A challenge, I think, is competing with cell phones. That could be a really long podcast, but you know, as a teacher, you try to be more interesting. I think anyway. You know, and it's really hard when they can find whatever they need on a phone, but you have to kind of be out there and be more interesting and exciting. And times that can be hard, but I think that's a challenge. But I try to face the challenge and get it done.
That's a great answer. And I heard a great quote about, you know, our job is not to lead them to water. Mm-hmm. Our job is to make them thirsty, right? Because they could get anything on that phone, but what story is Taylor talking about? What experience is Taylor giving in the classroom that's making it interesting for that kid? So that's a great point. What is something that motivates you?
What motivates me is feeling that I'm making a difference. That motivates me. So having that George Bailey moment to feel like I am, you know, making a difference in somebody's life. You know, you might not know exactly what it is, but hopefully I've been making some differences. But you know, that's what motivates me.
Nice. 3 most important qualities of a good soccer coach.
I think the most important qualities of a soccer coach is kind of the same things that I said as a administrator, which would be a good communicator, listener, knowing your stuff, and being a good motivator. So something my dad always said when I was growing up was, when you're green, you grow, when you ripe, you rot. So you're always trying to grow and get better and grow at what you're doing. So I've said that to the kids that I coach, and they always remember it. Yeah. They keep bringing it up. Mm-hmm. I'm like, you still remember that? So,
you've said that before. That's a great. Say it again so our audience can hear that.
When you're green, you grow. When you're ripe, you rot.
That's awesome. So and she's growing as a leader, as a teacher. That's great. What is something that gets under your skin as a coach, a pet peeve of yours?
Well, it's kind of something silly and stupid, but just when the kids are dribbling a ball when you're talking or moving a ball around, it's just like, just stop moving the ball. Just listen to what I'm saying. So
the laugh doesn't come out with that. No, the bark.
Come on.
Put that ball down.
Yeah, or put it under your foot or something.
Besides your job and your family, what is something that you are most proud of?
Well, I just bought a house last year, so I worked hard and I saved a lot of money, and I bought a house on the lake up in Chihuahua. So that was a pretty cool time. And
Nice.
decorating the house and doing that.
A homeowner as well. We left that out of the intro.
Yeah.
Short-term personal goal, 3 to 5 months.
Short term, I just to stay healthy. I started to get into yoga, so
In all your spare time?
yeah. So trying to get a little bit more flexible, maybe lose a little weight, but that's the short term.
And long-term personal goal, 3 to 5 years.
3 to 5, maybe become an administrator. We'll see what happens.
She's putting her name out there. If you're watching, be looking for a job. We're not going to release her from the job here.
Maybe
yes. Keep her. Okay. Taylor, you mentioned a bunch of camps and things that you do, coaching and the science camp. How can people get in touch with you? How can they learn more about those things?
Well, on Facebook, I have the Soccer Star Camps. That's my Facebook page for soccer camp. That's probably the best way. I answer pretty much everything on there. But I also just recently got a Twitter account.
Mm-hmm. And what would that Twitter handle be?
I haven't even been on it that often, but I believe it's Hartey_T.
We have that right here. Let's confirm that. Where is that?
Hartey.
Hartey_T.
Yep.
That's Taylor. So you can follow her on Twitter. She's going to be putting out a lot of good notifications. And before we get to our ending quote, I got one quick funny story. Taylor obviously has a sense of humor. You saw it here on the show. She brings the energy. When we interviewed Taylor for the job, we always make them do a writing assignment at the end. And kind of like our rapid fire here, we asked some rapid fire questions. So one of the ones was, what was the last concert you went to? So Taylor ended her thing. I don't know. Was it, you have a favorite quote? Or was it the concert?
No, it was a concert.
Yeah. So what was the last concert you went to? And it was Lionel Richie at Bethel Woods. And then she wrote, "Is it me you're looking for?"
Hello.
Yeah. Hello. Is it me you're looking for? We liked Taylor. We were going to hire her, but that was the final straw. That was, because you could tell she had a sense of humor. She had some personality. And if she was writing that to the principal, the people she was interviewing with, you knew she could, as our friend Tony DeMarco would say, dance. So that was funny. I always remember that. Hello, is it me you're looking for?
And I felt like after I did write that and you got it, I felt like Porter's got me. So then I was like, all right, I could do that.
And here you are doing your admin internship. Taylor, you also had another quote besides that one, your dad. So why don't we end the show with that great quote here?
Okay, so my quote is, if it's important to you, you'll find a way. And if it's not, you'll find an excuse.
So you helping kids, you making a difference. It's important to you, and you're doing that. I wish you luck. I hope I can help you as an administrator. Again, if you're watching the show live or you watch it on replay, if you have something for Taylor, put it on there. I'll certainly contact her for camps and stuff, guest speaking, things like that. She'd love to do that as part of her internship. So we're going to sign off here on Education, Leadership, and Beyond. Continue to go out and change the world. Continue to do great things for kids. Taylor, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
All right, let's cue this music up again. See if I can get this to work here. Get this going. This is from my friend Pete Connors, Shabby Studios. He wrote this music here. We're going to sign off. Continue to go out and do great work for your schools. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Until next time.